All right, guys, Sierra with All For Them here, and we're gonna go through a little tutorial of how to get your prong collar set up with a QuicLoc by Hermsprenger. It's a quick release, and also set extra safety on your leash. So the first thing we're gonna review is your Hermsprenger prong collar. It really is the only way to go if you're going to go with a prong collar at all. Highly recommend the Hermsprenger for multiple reasons. There's this tracheal safety plate. We have nice quality materials. You can see that all of these points are moving away from the trachea area, either left or right away from it. We have a really nice counterweight as far as when you have leash pressure on versus release. That chain is nice and heavy, so on that release you have a really nice release, which helps with your timing. So if you're going to go with a prong collar, which we always love, prong collars are really safe to use, especially when used appropriately and properly. Remember, anything can be abusive or aversive, even a regular collar, a flat collar. So when conditioned appropriately and when used appropriately, these are fantastic tools. They communicate very effectively to your dog through, like I said, through pressure and the release of pressure. And bonus, as far as the handler goes, you don't have to use as much force if your dog is lunging or is larger, or if you're smaller or maybe a little less physically able. It kind of picks up some of that force for you. So on both sides, you can be softer with your corrections and leash pressure, and your dog will lend into them quicker and also have to have less leash pressure in general. So when we are replacing the center tracheal plate with a QuicLoc, you'll notice the two holes on here. We are going to be removing that center plate. So we're gonna have these pieces are going to pop out. We're gonna remove that center plate. We're going to replace it with the QuicLoc. This is also by Hermsprenger. So be sure that you are either going directly through Hermsprenger or you find a somebody who is actually selling an authorized dealer of Hermsprenger. So now we have that tracheal plate removed, which again, it's a little bit bigger. So as far as sizing goes, it can kind of mess with your sizing, but it generally is still, you can get a good fit with it. What's really great about this is this QuicLoc actually has a slide kind of button protector. So when you're ready to open it, you can just slide that off, push down, pull, and release. And much like a seatbelt buckle, it's just gonna get pushed right in. You hear that click, and then just for extra safety, you slide that cover right back over, so that way no brushes or sticks or something presses on that button and you lose that connection. So now that we have an appropriately put together QuicLoc release on your prong collar, we can start adjusting the safeties. So this is a safety. There's lots of different safeties. You can go with a safety cord such as this. You can also go with a simple carabiner. They make smaller size carabiners that can attach from your leash bottom and help support the leash connection. You can also put a carabiner through the dead ring on your prong collar and attach the other side of the carabiner to your dog's flat collar. Just kind of show you, this is the opposite ring. This is your live ring. This is the ring that you actually connect your leash to, and this is your dead ring. So they're pretty different in shape. The reason why I'm such a fan of safeties in general is because, especially when you're, I mean, really anywhere, but especially when you're in a downtown environment or a really busy environment, things happen. Sometimes we don't realize that maybe there are multiple prongs that have been detached and maybe we didn't reattach them very well, or maybe over time things get loose. There's a lot of things that can happen. But let's say your prong collar breaks loose for whatever reason, which I've actually never had happen, not with Hermspranger, thankfully. But let's say it breaks loose. With an appropriate safety backup, you have something attached to the dog's flat collar, and it buys the handler a couple of moments before the dog is just off into the woods, right? So finding some type of safety is just an extra peace of mind, and it keeps your dog safe. So as far as the safety cord goes, we're actually gonna thread it through that fine little space here. You can see that little hole there. That's where we're gonna thread this head into. We're just gonna push that through, pull through the other side. Again, you have that little hole there. We're gonna feed this safety cord head through it, tighten it up, and now you have two attachments. One, again, your main attachment is going to go to your main collar. So this collar should be sitting high and tight, while your safety attachment is going to be attached to the secondary collar, which should be somewhere lower on the neck, usually just right behind it or just around the neck. Again, that's usually your flat collar, your buckle collars, maybe a martingale. I mean, whatever your secondary collar is. They do make longer versions of this, so you could try using it on like a front clip harness. However, the timing might be thrown off because of the distance and everything, so generally don't recommend that. But hope this helps when you're setting up all of your awesome tools and before you go on your adventures and do your training with your dogs.